thank you for shifting days for this month, and thank you for hanging in there for the top 10 tech tips. To everyone watching on replay, thank you for watching. We have a great audience that actually watches this in their own time, so I really appreciate the messages that you send through and to know that you are checking this out in your own time. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we only have 30 minutes. Just a quick, I want to start doing an acknowledgement to country. I think it's important. I've been doing a lot of in-person workshops lately, and it's something I've been remiss in doing. So just paying acknowledgement to the lands on which we all meet. And if you want to pop what land you are on in the chat box, I'd love to learn some more lands. I'm from Bundjalung country, but I'm coming here today from Toowoomba, which is the Yagara people, and apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly, but recognizing our elders past, present, and emerging. So I also know that we have a bunch of new people that have been joining these every month. So thank you and welcome. If this is your first top 10 tech tips webinar, you'll be able to go back through the YouTube site and find all of the past ones if you want to make some popcorn and settle in for a few hours. I've been doing these now for over 12 months, so there's a lot that you can go back through. So I am Tracy Sheen. I'm known as the Digital Guide. I'm the author of The End of Technophobia, a practical guide to digitizing your business, winner of Best Business Book Awards in Australia last year, and also Best Technology Book. And the Business Book Awards are, of course, coming up again. You can register to attend the online event on the 22nd of November. So make sure that you check it out. I'll be losing my crown in November, which is exciting for the next group of authors coming through. I'm a regular on Koshi's Business Builders. I am their technology and digital marketing expert, so you'll see me more on screen next year as I do more work with them. Recognised as a top 50 small business leader, accredited by the Australian Marketing Institute. And these days, I spend most of my time running workshops, webinars, doing commentating, things like that. And I love doing these webinars and keeping people up to date with all the cool stuff that's going on. I'm also the founder of the Small Business Tech Club, which is been going for a little over 12 months now, and some great people. This month we concentrated on Google AdWords and learning about, the nuances and the changes that are going on there. November, we are doing our strategy for 2023. So lots of cool stuff that's going on in the Tech Club. And if you'd like to know more about how to become a member, shoot me an email after this, and happy to send you some info or jump on and have a chat. All right, let's crack on. We now have 27 minutes to get through our top 10 tech tips for the month. And the first one I want to share with you is Hippo video. Now, I get a lot of comments from people about the short videos that I send them, and I use a platform called Loom. It's not the only one. There's plenty of them around, and Hippo video is another one. Create, share, and track videos. Great to be sending to your clients. I like that you can inbuild call to actions like polls, surveys, etc., and you can personalize the text that goes out with the email with these as well. Has integrations with Gmail, HubSpot, Outlook, and Sales Navigator. And Sales Navigator is a big one for people. They like to be able to send messages directly from their LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And the reason I wanted to include this one this month is there is a lifetime deal available on AppSumo. So we've talked about AppSumo before, AppSumo. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. And Hippo Video is under a lifetime deal with AppSumo at the moment. So if you've been looking for a platform that you can create videos like I do on Loom, like that other people do on other platforms, then Hippo Video could be a good one for you to check out this month while it's still on AppSumo. All right, the next one is SparkToro. Now, my SEO guy, Steve Yankee from Digimark, was telling me about this the other day, and it sounds pretty exciting. I've had a bit of a look at it from what he has shown me, and you can certainly, there is a free version of this that you can play around with. And basically what it does is it gives you insight into what websites your clients are visiting. So the one big piece of information that Steve did share with me is that this data is skewed towards the US, but in saying that it's still going to give you some valuable insights into the types of sites and the types of behaviors that your clients are exhibiting before they visit or interact with your business. So SparkToro, check it out on a website. It really is just designed to help you understand your clients better. So maybe, you can tweak your language around demographics. So you might find out that you actually have more males or females visiting your site or interacting with your products. You can learn more about the types of content that they're watching, they're reading, they're listening to, all of that kind of stuff. And it also really interesting, and this was a big one when I had a look at it, it also shows you what hashtags they're using. So you can start following some of those hashtags or start using those hashtags in your own content. It gives you the type of language, conversational, academic, whatever that may be for your audience, but it gives you the type of language that they're using. And it also explains to you how they would describe themselves. So, suburban family, or LGBTQI, or Indigenous, or, so you get a better understanding of how it is that your clients actually identify. So again, in your language and your marketing to them, you've got that ability to reflect that language, that tonality, those hashtags, all of those types of things back at them and assist in building that reputation and relationship with them. Shout out to Susan and Sadie, who have just joined us. Welcome. Thank you so much for sharing time with us today. We're just about to talk about the updates from Apple. Now, the next one I want to talk about is ICE, in case of emergency. Now, this is by no stretch a new thing, but it is something I've been reading about again in the media over the last week or so. So I just wanted to remind everybody that it is a great thing to update in your mobile phone. So whether you're an Apple user, Android, Samsung, whatever it is that you use, there is a version of in case of emergency available on your phone. And you'll see in the third dot here, I've actually given you a couple of hyperlinks. So I'll share the slides this month as well in an email. So you can go and have a look at how you would set this up for your own device, but you can Google it if you want to. How do I set up emergency contacts on my phone? Now, if you are an Apple user, I have this set up in my phone. I've also set it up for my elderly parents. You can actually update additional medical information as well. So if you are on particular medications, if you have allergies to things, if you have pre-existing conditions, etc., you can update that as well. Now, I was reading an article this week from a nurse who was at a shopping centre, and a lady had a fall and hit her head and was in rather a bad way. Now, because the nurse knew that this facility was there, she was able to grab the lady's phone, hit the power up and the power button, and get that lady's information. So then she was able to converse with her using her name. She became more responsive, and she also knew that she had a cardiac condition and a few other things. So she was able to provide better first responder assistance while she was waiting for the paramedics. So it's a really good feature. Anybody can access that information from your lock screen. So it's not like you have to unlock the phone and give them access or anything. And it is just something that is a really, really good feature that I think we should all be using. And it was interesting. Only last night I got a notification on my iPhone to say, hey, you haven't updated this information for 18 months. So I was able to go in and change a few things and make sure that it was up to date. So in case of emergency, definitely one I think we should all be using. Super easy. Do it over a coffee. It's done. Set and forget. And maybe just let your next of kin or your other half let them know that they need to do it as well. Okay, here we go. Jeff, grab a pillow, mate. You can settle in and have a bit of a snooze now, because I know that the rest of these slides you're going to be rolling your eyes and telling me that Android have had this going for the last 18 months or so. But this is the Mac OS Ventura update. Now, it is available now on your devices. So I've updated my laptop, my desktop, and there is a version obviously for iPad and things as well. It's 16 something. So just check your software updates, and these are the cool things that you're going to get. So the first one I want to talk to you about is the continuity camera. You do make me laugh, Jeff. I do miss you. The continuity camera. So really cool feature. Now you can turn your iPhone into a webcam. So when I pick my iPhone up now and it's nearby my laptop or my desktop, the two devices will talk to each other and say, do you want to use this as a secondary camera? So then I can set it up as what they call desk view, which becomes an overhead shot of what I'm doing. So if you can imagine that you're doing a product demonstration, and Sadie, I thought of you immediately when I saw this. So you could actually show people, a knitting technique or a crocheting technique, or to look at the particular yarn and the way it interacts, because you could be talking to the camera while the overhead shot is looking down at what your hands are doing. So I love this idea. I think there's a lot of uses for it around that product demonstration or DIY kind of stuff. You can use with a portrait view, center stage, and they've designed a new lighting setting called Studio Light that illuminates you as the user while dimming the background. So it really puts the focus on you as the user. So a bit of fiddling. I certainly wouldn't go live with it without having a decent play with it, because it does take a little bit of maneuvering to figure out how it all kind of connects. I was playing with it yesterday and wondering why everything was upside down when I was trying to hold the camera up, and then realize that, it's an overhead shot. Gotcha, that makes more sense. But continuity camera, really cool little neat feature there, that if you do any DIY or product demonstrations and things like that, a great asset to be using. The next one is Passkeys. Now, with all of the recent hoo-ha in the media, rightly so, about the security breaches, and I was reading this morning that there's been another one with MedLabs now, which is a pathology site. We need to be, increasingly aware of our cybersecurity, of our, what we should be doing to protect ourselves. And again, our Tech Club members, we had a great cybersecurity expert in earlier in the year, Roger Smith, and he teaches the cybersecurity for ADFA, for the Defence Force Academy. So I've noticed that the views on that webinar are going back through the roof again as people go, I need to protect myself. So Apple have designed what they call the Passkey. And what this is, it's a digital passkey that's actually stored on your local device, not in the web. And instead of signing in with a password, as we're used to, you're going to sign in using your facial recognition or using touch recognition, Touch ID. So again, an additional biometric layer of security. Now, if you do want to share your passkeys across devices, Keychain, which has been the one that a lot of Apple users, including myself, have used for a long time, are still using the full end-to-end encryption. So you can work across Apple devices with passkeys. But the other thing that it does is it allows you to sign into non-Apple devices using your iPhone. So, for example, if you have a PC and you have, LinkedIn, you can still log into LinkedIn using your passkey on your iPhone. So you can have a Google of any of these separately and read how to set them up, but really, really like this idea of passkeys and the biometric level of security that they're building into things now. Apple Mail updates. Now, this one really did kind of amuse me because I do use Apple Mail. I have my Gmail and my Outlook and everything synced, and I'm using my, native email on the Apple. And one of the things that just irked me so much from this is I couldn't schedule emails. It's such an easy thing to do in Outlook and Google. But for the life of me, like, this was not available on Apple. So I had a bit of a giggle that finally, with this update, we can now schedule emails to send later. And yes, Jeff, probably like 3 years behind everyone else, but it's here now and it's working really, really well. You can cancel deliveries of emails, and some cool stuff that they're kind of built in, which, you know, only Apple kind of do. Things like, it'll remind you if you mention in the email, you know, attached, blah, 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 it'll say to you, hey, you haven't added that attachment. Or if you're responding to an email and there was supposed to be a CC in it, it'll remind you to add that person as a CC as a recipient. You can also set reminders to come back to messages. So maybe you've started working on an email and you need to have a think through, so you don't want to respond with a knee-jerk reaction or something. You can set a reminder to say, you know, look, I want to come back to that in an hour or a couple of hours, or tomorrow I need to think that through a little bit before I respond. So that's a really cool feature. And I really like this one. There's some automatic suggestions for you to follow up an email. So I don't know how you guys deal with your inbox, but certainly, you know, I'll scroll back and I'll find things that, like, oh man, I thought I'd responded to that like a week ago or a few days ago or whatever. So now you can trigger automatically responses or suggestions to say, hey, you haven't heard from Jeff for a week. Maybe you should follow them up, or, you know, things like that. So nice little features there that are definitely worth checking out and starting to use. But, you know, hallelujah, we finally got schedule emails to send later. Boy, oh boy, we've come into the new millennium. Okay, message updates. Now, you might know that Apple have their own version of messages. So when you send a text message, you'll be able to tell if it's a text message because it's blue. If it's green, it's Apple to Apple, or it's through the Apple messaging system. So a few of the things that they've done is now you can edit or undo a message, which is nice. You can recover messages that you've accidentally deleted. So again, I've done that before. I've gone, just get rid of that. And then like, actually needed that information. You can mark a message as unread. So again, I've done this. I've got a message from someone. I've read it. And then I've gone, yep, I've got to respond to that. I had some nuts before the webinar started. Excuse me, and I probably shouldn't have. Talk amongst yourselves while I choke for a moment. Okay, you can mark a message as unread. So again, you know, I've looked at a message and then I, you know, get busy, get sidetracked, and then, you know, I forget to respond. So now you can remark it as unread. So it will remind you to come back and actually respond to that message. You can collaborate now by sharing files across messages and work on those files in collaboration. So that's a really cool feature. It'll bump the file to the top of a shared message, and it will let you know when people are in there and working on the access. So you've always got that kind of constant flow of communication. And they also have this cool thing called Share Play. Now, what Share Play is you can actually start watching something on TV, or you can be listening to some music together, but you can be having a conversation about what you're listening to or watching at the same time. So I think that'd be a really nice thing for, you know, certainly when I'm on a plane, if Pete and I are traveling together, we can often share a podcast, so we could, you know, be having a bit of a conversation at the same time. Okay, photo updates. So this one's pretty interesting in the sense of where they're trying to go with it. You've been able to share albums for a while, but one of the things that they've done now is allow each of the users to be set by a start date or by the people in the library. So, for example, if I add, you know, my mum and dad and say my two brothers, then I might say that I want mum and dad to access this library from the start of the library, but I want my brothers to access it from, you know, today, not 2 weeks ago when I set the library up. So you can set up start dates that people get access to, so they're not getting the back history. They start the day that they start, or you can design their entry based on the person. It'll also give you suggestions based on people in the images or people in the group. So again, if I use that analogy of having my mum and dad and my two brothers in the group, if I take a photo of one of my brothers and I don't add it, it'll say to me, hey, do you want to add this photo? You know, we found this photo of Gary or the kids or whatever. Do you want to add that into the group? So it'll offer you suggestions now of how you might build out that family library. You can also, everyone can now add, delete, favorite, edit all of the images, and it's going to create a memory book within that library. So if you're an iCloud user, you might have noticed that you get Apple memories, which is really nice. You kind of get on this day 12 months ago, or, you know, you trip through Victoria, or you know, whatever those special memories are. So it will create those memories for you that the whole family get to kind of see what's being shared in the library as a view that a particular family member likes. So I kind of like that. I think that's pretty cute where they're going with that. Spotlight. I love Spotlight on the Mac. Now, it is the thing that I use when I need to search for anything. I need to find an email, I need to find a document, I need to find whatever, and I can't remember what I've called it, but I can remember maybe a keyword or a phrase or something. So I hit Spotlight, type it in, it'll search the whole of my computer and then kind of go, hey, here's an offering. So Spotlight has improved. Again, it's gone up quite a few levels from the last update. One of them is now you can find images in the library. Nice, I can do that now. I can type in Lego and all my images of Lego come up. But it'll also search across the web and across your whole system from apps like Messenger and Notes. So in our family, we use Notes to store, you'll probably know we take care of elderly parents. So we have medical history and driver's license and things like that, or, you know, information stored in Notes. And now I can search for driver's license, for example, and it will search across all of the apps as well and bring up that information. So love that. Wasn't doing that before. You can search via location, an object, or a scene. So I can type into Spotlight, Great Ocean Road, and it will bring up everything around Great Ocean Road, whether it's a document, an email, images, whatever. So that's really kind of nice. It has live text. So if you take a photo of, say, Jim's removalist truck, and it's got, you know, Jim's removalist written on the side and it's got a phone number, I can search for Jim's removalist or removalist, and it will bring up just the image, just the text inside the photo. So I'll actually read the sign writing on a wall or a car or something like that now and give you that information. So that's really nice. And then you can also now take actions from your Spotlight, which you couldn't do before. Things like set reminders, start a timer, create a new document. So it really has improved its productivity, you know, quite considerably from the last update. So Spotlight was always pretty good. Now it's just like really nice. All right, some other bits and pieces of the Apple update worth knowing. So Ventura's doing a bunch of other stuff too, which didn't really hit the headlines as much as probably some of the stuff that we've just covered. So they've added a bunch more accessibility tools. So they now have things like live captions for audio content, and you can also type to speak on calls. So again, you know, if you're having a conversation, even, you know, when I got laryngitis and I wasn't allowed to speak for 2 weeks, being able to do that and it would speak on calls, really, really handy. Live text can now be recognized in a paused video. So similar to what I was talking about there from Spotlight, if you have a video of, you know, the removalist van, you can pause the video and live text will pull the information from that image. So you'll be able to see it. And visual lookup now recognizes things like statues, animals, birds, insects. So that was a little kind of dodgy before, but it's a lot clearer with how it works and a lot kind of neater in terms of that. The weather and the clock app that a lot of us love on our iPhone is now on our desktops and our laptops with all the features of your iPhone, like being able to save and request local forecasts, creating alarms, setting timers, etc., etc. So all of that stuff is now built in and come across. So that's the other stuff kind of. There are a few other things as well, but they're the kind of the main things that really that's out to me. All right, let's go back through everything. We have a few minutes to go. So we talked about Hippo Video, which is the one that will allow you to record videos to share with clients. And as I said, you know, I use Loom, so it's an alternative to Loom. And the reason I like that this month is because it's a lifetime deal on AppSumo. So worth checking out if you've been looking for a solution like that that integrates with everything, allows you to build in some call to actions, etc. The next one is SparkToro, and SparkToro is the site that will give us, you know, just a bit more information on where our clients are, what sites they're visiting, what hashtags they're using, what are they reading, what are they watching, what are they listening to, all of that kind of stuff. So a bit more deep dive information about our clients. Remember, the data is skewed towards the US, but you can certainly make some good assumptions based off that information that you could replicate across Australian audiences. So that's one definitely to have a look at. And then we talked about in case of emergency and setting that up on our devices, whether we're Android, Samsung, Apple, whatever we are, we should all be setting up this in case of emergency. So again, nothing that's not new, but it was reminded to me this week by some articles that I've been reading. And then the rest of the time, we spent our time talking about the Apple Mac OS Ventura update. So we talked about the continuity camera, which is that overhead view where you can connect your iPhone with your laptop or your desktop now. Great for product demonstrations, DIYs, things like that. The Passkeys, which is the next level of security around our passwords. So we'll be able to see, you know, to log in with those biometric things like face or touch ID, etc., and sync with end-to-end encryption if we want to use it across various devices. We'll also be able to log into non-Apple devices through our iPhone. Apple Mail, we got the updates around schedule emails for later, huzzah, cancel delivery, automatic suggestions, you forgot to add an attachment, that type of thing. So it's a really nice one. The message updates, collaborate on files, see who's working on what, mark a message as unread, recall a message, edit it, undo it, all that kind of stuff. iCloud photo updates, being able to create those libraries based on people or start dates, creating memories within the libraries for the whole of the family, and getting suggestions from your device around people to add to, or photos to add to the library based on parameters that you've set. And then the Spotlight update. So talking about now being able to find images, not just in your library, but across all of your apps like messages and notes, and also across the web. Now that we can search via location, an object, or a scene, and that live text functionality. So being able to just pull the text out of an image. So typing in, you know, removalist and having a photo of Jim's removal van and pulling that information out. And then the other last minute bits and pieces were the new accessibility tools like the live captioning for audio content, the weather, the clock app, things like that. So some really lovely things that they've added. And this is a big update for Apple. So, you know, I usually, my laptop was working like a 1,000,000% last night trying to get everything downloaded. So it was hot, the fan was going crazy. So a big update, lots of changes in the background for our devices. Before we go, a few other things coming up. So you'll remember I am now an entrepreneurship facilitator with the federal government. My area is the Ipswich region in Queensland. So Ipswich, Lockyer Valley, Somerset, Scenic Rim, big region. But there's a lot of content that we offer for free that is delivered virtually. So you can see I've got a bunch of workshops coming up here. If you're based in Queensland, starting a business is a great one to go to. That is all about telling you everything that is available from local, state, federal point of view that you can access as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. I'm doing a Getting Your Digital Ducks in a Row, which is all about, getting your tech right for 2023. Couple of in-person events, the Coffee and Conversations. They'll be Ipswich, Laidley and Springfield. Then we've got an update about Google Business Profile, so about getting that set up and sorted for the new year, understanding Meta Business Suite. So there's a lot of confusion around, what is it, how do I use it, all that type of stuff. So you can get all of that information from the yep.business website, and I will include a link in that in the email where I give you the other links as well. That's it from me. We've bought it home, bang on time. Here's my details. If we're not connected, although you're on the webinar, so we must be, make sure you're following me on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm Tracy at The Digital Guide on Facebook, Tracy Sheen on LinkedIn, and then obviously there's my email and the web address if you want to reach out at any time. Any questions, any comments? What are we going to use? What are we going to try? My Apple users, I'd love to know what was your thing that really kind of stood out for you. And Jeff, I'm going to guess, Mind Reader, I'm going to say SparkToro is the one that you're going to have a play with this month. So let me know, pop a note in the chat and do let me know before you disappear. Now we're going to do one last, SparkToro, I thought so. We're going to do one last one in November, one last top 10 tech tips for the year, and that's going to be around top tech tools that you can buy your small business owner or entrepreneur for Christmas. So I've got some cool ones there that I've been kind of saving up, some hardware, some software, a few ideas that you can float around. So if you've been looking for something to purchase a mate in small business or an entrepreneur, then that's one to definitely watch out for. Last Thursday of the month, and then we'll take December and January off. So have a great afternoon. Thank you for tuning in once again, and I look forward to seeing you next month for the top 10 tech tips. Take care.